Did you know that the average senior in the United States is surrounded by nearly 30 years' worth of accumulated clutter? And here's the startling update for 2025. Experts now warn this isn't just about overstuffed closets or crowded shelves. All that build-up is quietly costing seniors more than space. It's draining peace of mind, raising stress levels, and in many cases, even wasting money on duplicate items and forgotten bills buried in stacks of paper. Maybe you've felt it yourself. You start with good intentions. You want to clear out the garage, straighten up the kitchen, or finally organize that closet. But halfway through, your body feels tired, your heart feels heavy, and suddenly you're staring at objects that seem impossible to let go of. You think, where do I even begin? And before long, the clutter wins again. But here's the good news. In 2025, seniors across the country are discovering a new way forward. Not by overhauling their entire house in one exhausting weekend, but by taking on small, powerful challenges that create real change, one step at a time. These aren't complicated systems or overwhelming routines. They're short, freeing exercises that anyone can do, no matter your age or energy level. And today, I'm going to share 7 declutter challenges designed specifically for seniors in 2025. They're practical, emotionally freeing, and they might just surprise you with how much lighter your home and your heart will feel. So before we dive in, make sure you hit like and tap subscribe, because these challenges could change your home, your mood, and your confidence this very week. Meet Iris Callahan, a 74-year-old retired traveling nurse from Wisconsin. For decades, Iris devoted her life to caring for patients in cities big and small. Every stop left her with a story, and every hospital she worked in added one more tiny treasure to her life, a souvenir magnet. By the time she retired, her refrigerator looked less like an appliance and more like a patchwork quilt of memories. Hundreds of magnets, each one representing a life she had touched and a piece of the road she had traveled. But beneath those colorful keepsakes was a quieter truth. Iris admitted that while she was caring for everyone else, she rarely paused to care for herself. Over time, her home began to feel heavy. Piles of paperwork stacked up on her dining table, closets overflowed with clothes she hadn't worn in years, and those just-in-case items filled corners she no longer noticed. Friends who once gathered for tea visits slowly stopped coming, and Iris realized it wasn't her friends who had changed, it was the space around her. "I didn't feel proud of my home anymore," she confessed softly. "I felt trapped by it." Her turning point came not with a massive, overwhelming clean-out but with something smaller and far more doable. Tiny challenges that gave her quick wins and momentum. Iris discovered that by breaking decluttering into short, focused exercises, she could finally make progress without draining her energy or spirit. And in 2025, those same 7 declutter challenges are helping Iris, and thousands of other seniors across the country, reclaim not only their homes but their sense of peace and joy. Challenge number 1. The One Shelf Reset. The first challenge is simple but surprisingly powerful, the One Shelf Reset. Instead of overwhelming yourself by trying to clean the entire house, you start with just one shelf, any shelf. You clear it completely, handle each item with intention, and then decide what truly earns its place back. The rest. It's either donated, recycled, or tossed. This may sound too small to matter, but here's why it works. One shelf is manageable. It doesn't demand hours of energy or emotional stamina. It creates a quick win, a visible transformation you can see and feel within minutes. And for seniors, especially those who feel paralyzed by decades of accumulation, small victories spark momentum. For Iris, her turning point began with the shelf above her television. It had become a landing spot for everything. Family photos tucked behind dusty candles, knick-knacks she hadn't dusted in years, and a stack of old greeting cards sliding against the wall. She admitted she rarely noticed what was there anymore, but every time she sat down to relax, the clutter silently weighed on her. One Saturday morning, she decided to try the One Shelf Reset. She carefully removed everything and placed it on her dining table. Then, piece by piece, she asked herself 2 simple questions. Do I use this? And does this bring me joy? The answers surprised her. Out of nearly 20 objects, only 3 made it back onto the shelf: a framed photo of her granddaughter, a candle she actually used, and a small cross her late husband had given her. When she put those 3 items back, she stepped back and said it felt like a weight had been lifted off her chest. "It was the first time in years that I actually noticed what was on that shelf," she said. The clean, open space made her entire living room feel lighter, calmer, and more welcoming. The lesson: decluttering doesn't have to be a marathon. It can be one small reset at a time. When you see that one shelf transformed, it gives you courage to move on to the next, and then the next. So here's your challenge. Pick one shelf in your home right now. It could be a bookshelf, a kitchen cabinet, or the bathroom counter. Empty it out completely. Choose only what you love or use, and let go of the rest. And I'd love to hear from you. Which shelf will you start with? Drop your answer in the comments below. You might inspire another senior to take that first step today. Remember, every big change starts small. One shelf at a time, you're not just decluttering, you're reclaiming peace, energy, and pride in your home. Challenge number 2. The 15-minute paper purge. The second challenge might surprise you, because it targets one of the sneakiest forms of clutter: paper. Stacks of mail, old receipts, utility bills, medical records, and endless flyers that seem to arrive daily. Paper clutter builds so quietly that you don't notice it until it's everywhere. On the kitchen counter, the dining table, even on the nightstand. And for many seniors, those piles don't just take up space, they create mental stress. Iris knew this all too well. She had a habit of stacking unopened mail on the corner of her kitchen counter. At first, it was just a few envelopes. But within months, it grew into a leaning tower of bills, magazines, and grocery ads. She confessed, "Every time I walked past that pile, I felt guilty. I kept thinking, I'll get to it later." But later never came. Her turning point was the 15-minute paper purge. The rules are simple. Set a timer for just 15 minutes and go through as much paper as you can in that time. No more, no less. Why does it work? Because 15 minutes is short enough that it doesn't feel overwhelming, but long enough to make a real dent in the pile. And here's the 2025 twist. With online banking, digital medical portals, and paperless billing now the norm, most of those old bills and receipts simply aren't necessary anymore. Keeping them is like holding on to clutter from a world that no longer exists. In fact, financial experts warn that keeping decades of outdated paper actually makes it harder to find the important documents when you need them. When Iris tried the challenge, she was amazed. In her first 15-minute session, she tossed expired coupons, utility bills from 2012, and receipts for appliances she no longer owned. She set aside only a handful of truly important papers, like her medical records, her home insurance policy, and her will documents, keeping them in a clearly labeled folder. "For the first time, I felt like I was in control of my paperwork, not buried by it," she said with relief. The impact went beyond her kitchen counter. Without the constant visual reminder of those paper stacks, her whole space felt clearer, and her stress levels dropped. Research shows that cluttered papers trigger anxiety because they represent unfinished tasks. By reducing the pile, you reduce the mental burden. So here's your challenge. Grab a timer, set it for 15 minutes, and tackle one pile of paper. Don't overthink it, just shred, recycle, or file. When the timer rings, stop. If you want to go another round later, you can, but even one 15-minute purge can free up space and peace of mind. Now let me ask, what's the oldest piece of paper sitting in your home right now? Be honest and share it in the comments. You might laugh when you realize just how far back some of those stacks go. Remember, decluttering isn't just about cleaning your house, it's about removing the invisible stressors that weigh you down. 15 minutes at a time, you can trade guilt for clarity and reclaim control over your home. Challenge number 3. The sentimental snapshot. The third challenge is one of the hardest, and yet one of the most freeing, the sentimental snapshot. For many seniors, clutter isn't about laziness or neglect, it's about memories. The jacket a spouse once wore, the teacups your mother passed down, the knick-knack from a long-ago trip. These items hold stories, and letting go of them can feel like letting go of the people and moments themselves. Iris struggled with this more than anything else. Her late husband, Patrick, had a favorite corduroy jacket. She hadn't worn it, touched it, or moved it in years, but it hung in the back of her closet like a silent presence. Every time she saw it, she froze. She couldn't bring herself to donate it, but she also couldn't keep carrying the heaviness it represented. I felt stuck between love and loss, she whispered. Then she discovered the sentimental snapshot. The idea is simple. Before donating or letting go of a sentimental item, take a clear, beautiful photo of it. Capture the memory visually so you can revisit it anytime, without having to hold onto the physical object. The photo becomes a memory anchor, while the item itself can move on to someone who might actually use it. The day Iris decided to try this, she laid Patrick's jacket on her bed and carefully snapped a few pictures. She cried while doing it, tears of both grief and release. But when she looked at the photo afterward, something shifted. She realized she could keep the memory without keeping the jacket. Donating it to a local shelter, where someone else might wear it and feel warmth, gave her peace she hadn't expected. I wasn't throwing him away, she said softly. I was passing on his kindness. This method works because it separates memory from material. You honor the story without being trapped by the stuff. For seniors in 2025, when homes are often weighed down by decades of inherited and collected belongings, the sentimental snapshot is a way to lighten both the house and the heart. Here's your challenge. Pick one sentimental item this week. Instead of hiding it in a box or closet, take a thoughtful photo. Write down the memory if you want to. Then ask yourself, could this item serve someone else better now? If the answer is yes, release it. Keep the photo. Keep the love. But let the object go. And here's my question for you. What's one sentimental item you've been holding on to, even though you no longer use it? Drop it in the comments. It might encourage someone else to take their first snapshot too. Because at the end of the day, decluttering isn't about forgetting. It's about remembering in a way that brings peace, not pain. Challenge number 4, the expired challenge. The fourth challenge might feel ordinary, but in 2025 it's one of the most critical for seniors, the expired challenge. This means taking just a little time to toss expired food, medicine, or even makeup. You'd be amazed at how often these forgotten items pile up quietly in cabinets, drawers, and refrigerators, creating not just clutter but real risks. Iris had a habit of tucking things away for later. Half-used bottles of vitamins, cold medicine from years ago, cans of soup pushed to the back of the pantry, even lipstick she hadn't worn since her nursing days. She thought nothing of it, until one day she reached for pain medicine and realized the label had faded, the expiration date long past. That was her wake-up call. I realized I was surrounding myself with things I couldn't even safely use anymore, she admitted. And here's the fresh insight for 2025. The FDA now warns that expired medications are one of the top hidden hazards in senior households. Outdated pills can lose their potency, or worse, become harmful. Expired food carries risks of food poisoning, which can hit seniors harder than younger adults. Even old makeup or skincare can grow bacteria that irritates aging skin. In short, what looks harmless could quietly be undermining your health. Iris decided to face this head-on. She set aside one afternoon for her expired challenge. She started in the kitchen, pulling everything from her pantry shelves. Out went cans stamped 2017, jars with dust-covered lids, and spice bottles she hadn't touched in over a decade. Then she moved to the bathroom. One by one, she opened her medicine cabinet. She tossed expired pain relievers, cough syrups, and bottles she couldn't even remember using. She even found an old inhaler and laughed at herself for holding on to it. By the time she finished, she filled 2 full bags with expired goods. The shock came not from the volume, but from the realization that she had been wasting space on items that no longer served her, or could have harmed her. It felt like I was clearing out danger disguised as clutter, she said. The fix is simple. Set a recurring date for your expired challenge. Once every few months, check your pantry, medicine cabinet, and bathroom drawers. If it's expired, let it go, no exceptions. Keep a small box handy for safe medicine disposal, since many pharmacies now offer return programs. So here's your challenge. Pick one area this week, your fridge, your pantry, or your medicine cabinet, and clear out the expired items. You'll be shocked at how much space and relief it creates. Now tell me in the comments, What's the oldest expired thing you've ever found in your home? Someone once admitted they found spices older than their grandkids. Remember, decluttering isn't only about making room, it's about protecting your health and peace of mind. And the expired challenge is one of the easiest, yet most powerful, steps you can take to feel safer and lighter at home. Challenge number 5. The one bag to donate. The 5th challenge is called the one bag to donate. It sounds almost too simple. Just grab a bag and fill it with items to give away. Clothes you no longer wear, books gathering dust, decorations that no longer bring joy. But don't underestimate it. This challenge carries deep emotional power. For Iris, this was the hardest step at first. Her home was full of objects tied to different seasons of her life, her nursing career, her years of travel, her family milestones. Every item seemed to whisper, "Keep me, I'm part of your story." But when she finally picked up a plain grocery bag and decided to fill it, something shifted. She chose her old nursing textbooks first, heavy, worn, and untouched for decades. She realized she would never need them again, but someone else might. When she placed them into the bag, she felt a strange mix of sadness and pride. "It felt like passing the torch," she said. "Those books taught me how to care for others. Now they could help the next generation." And that's the hidden power of this challenge. It reframes decluttering from losing something to giving something. Instead of seeing it as stripping away your past, you begin to see it as passing forward a gift. Seniors across the country in 2025 are finding this especially meaningful because donation centers, community colleges, and even online networks make it easier than ever to ensure your items serve someone else instead of sitting forgotten in a closet. There's also a psychological benefit. Research shows that donating items activates the same reward centers in the brain as receiving gifts. It lifts mood, reduces stress, and builds a sense of connection. For seniors, that sense of contribution and legacy is priceless. Iris went on to fill her bag with sweaters she hadn't worn in years, travel mugs she'd collected but never used, and a few extra blankets she knew someone else could use more than she could. When she dropped the bag off at a local shelter, she described feeling lighter, not just in her home but in her heart. It was like the weight of responsibility had been lifted. Those things weren't mine to carry anymore. The fix is simple. Commit to filling just one bag. Don't aim to clean the whole house. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just pick one bag, one drawer, one shelf. By the time it's filled, you'll already feel the difference. And if you want, you can repeat the challenge next week with another bag. But the first one is the key to unlocking momentum. So here's your challenge. What could you put in your one bag this week? Clothes, books, kitchen gadgets. Share your answer in the comments. You might inspire another senior to take their first step. Remember, decluttering isn't about loss. It's about creating space for your future while leaving behind blessings for others. And with just one bag, you can start that transformation today. Challenge number 6. The Hidden Drawer Dare. The 6th challenge is what I like to call the Hidden Drawer Dare. We all have one, that drawer we never open, the one that's become a black hole for forgotten odds and ends. Maybe it's in the kitchen, maybe in the bedroom, or tucked away in the hallway. Wherever it is, you know the moment you open it, you'll be greeted with a jumble of mystery items you didn't even remember owning. For Iris, that drawer was in her hallway cabinet. She hadn't opened it in years, telling herself it was just storage. But one day, she decided to face the dare. She pulled the drawer open and burst out laughing. Inside were 3 old flip phones from the early 2000s, dried-out pens, loose batteries rolling around, a broken flashlight, and thick instruction manuals for appliances she no longer even owned. "It was like opening a time capsule I never meant to bury," she said. The emotional weight of that drawer surprised her. Every useless item was a reminder of delay, of things she meant to throw away, recycle, or use, but never did. And yet, clearing it out gave her an unexpected sense of freedom. "It felt like I was reclaiming energy I didn't even know I was losing," she admitted. Here's why this challenge works so well. Hidden drawers are out of sight, but they're never truly out of mind. Psychologists call this mental residue, unfinished tasks that quietly sap energy even when we're not actively thinking about them. Every unopened drawer represents a little bit of clutter stress. And for seniors, that hidden clutter can be especially frustrating because it reminds you of projects you've put off for years. The fix is simple. Choose one hidden drawer this week and fully declutter it. Dump everything out, toss the junk, recycle what you can, and only put back the few items you actually use. You'll probably find outdated gadgets, dried pens, paper clips, or even receipts from a decade ago. The shock isn't how much you find, it's how little you actually need to keep. Iris ended up keeping only a small flashlight and a spare set of house keys. Everything else went to recycling or donation. That one drawer, once ignored for years, became a neat little space that made her smile every time she opened it. "It's funny," she said, "but that one drawer made my whole hallway feel cleaner." So here's your challenge. Which hidden drawer is waiting in your house? Is it in the kitchen, stuffed with takeout menus? Or in the bedroom, filled with forgotten chargers and cables? Drop your answer in the comments. You might find you're not the only one. Remember, the hidden drawer dare isn't just about decluttering stuff. It's about surprising yourself with how much lighter you feel when you clear out what you thought didn't matter. Challenge number 7. The Future Self-Test. The 7th and final challenge is the one that brings everything together, the Future Self-Test. Here's how it works. When you pick up an item, instead of asking, "Do I like this?" or "What memory does this hold?" you ask a much deeper question. Will my future self at 80 thank me for keeping this? It's a powerful shift, because it reframes the decision from nostalgia to practicality. It forces you to think about the life you're building, not just the life you've already lived. Iris said this challenge changed everything for her. She stood in her dining room holding a set of mismatched teacups. Over the years, she had collected dozens, some chipped, some never used. At first, she wanted to keep them all. After all, they reminded her of trips, friends, and her husband. But when she asked herself the future self-test, she paused. Would my 80-year-old self thank me for holding on to all these cups? The answer was no. In the end, she chose to keep only the 4 teacups she still used with her daughter every Sunday afternoon. Those cups weren't just objects, they were part of a living ritual, a joy she still experienced. The rest, she let them go. "I realized my future self wanted less stuff and more moments," she said with a smile. For seniors in 2025, this test is especially relevant. As we age, mobility, energy, and space become even more precious. By choosing today to keep only what truly adds value, you're not just decluttering, you're gifting your future self the freedom to live lighter, easier, and happier. So here's your challenge. Pick one item this week and ask yourself, will my 80-year-old self thank me for this? If the answer is no, let it go. If it's yes, keep it and cherish it. Tell me in the comments, what's one thing your future self would want you to release today? Because decluttering isn't really about the past, it's about protecting the peace of your future. So let's take a moment to look back. 7 small but powerful declutter challenges. 1 shelf reset, a 15-minute paper purge, a sentimental snapshot, the expired challenge, 1 bag to donate, the hidden drawer dare, and the future self-test. Together, they may seem simple, but for seniors in 2025, they unlock something far greater than a tidier home. They bring clarity, restore peace, and protect dignity. For Iris, this wasn't just about cleaning up. Her home didn't just look neater, it felt alive again. Each challenge gave her a new sense of freedom. By letting go of what no longer served her, she discovered that decluttering isn't about losing memories or comfort. It's about creating space for the life she still wanted to live. Space for family, for laughter, for joy. And now, it's your turn. Which challenge spoke to you the most today? Is it the paper purge? The 1 bag donation? Or maybe the future self-test? Tell us in the comments. You might inspire someone else to begin their journey, too. If Iris's story inspired you, don't let it stop here. Hit that like button, tap subscribe, and share this video with a friend who deserves a fresh start as much as you do. The more seniors we reach, the more homes and hearts we can help lighten. And don't go anywhere, because our next video will reveal the 10 most surprising items seniors regret keeping for too long. Some of them are probably sitting in your home right now. And once you see the list, you'll never look at your clutter the same way again. Because decluttering isn't about the past, it's about choosing freedom for your future. And you deserve that freedom today.